So we are welcoming Aileen to share about her experience in food science. So maybe you can introduce yourself first.
All right. So, hi everyone. I'm Eileen Teh. I'm currently 21, and my academic background was a high school student in Indonesia doing like a Cambridge curriculum. And then after high school, I went to university, which is now in my bachelor's of food technology in Wageningen University in the Netherlands. And then I'm close to my graduation, so hopefully I will have a job as a food technologist in the future. But for now, I'm just carrying out my thesis and doing things that I love. So yeah, that's a bit about me.
Ooh, it sounds nice. But like, tell me about like why you want to like study in food science or food science technology.
At first, it was quite of a impulse move, in my opinion. I used to want to become a doctor, so my high school was studying AS and A level Cambridge for biology, chemistry, and math, and then I wanted to be a doctor, but I tried to rethink what I really wanted to do. Did I see myself working in the hospital or seeing myself study for such a long amount of time? And
Mhm.
so there was a lot of reflection, but my main conclusion was that I wanted to be a woman in STEM. So any science major, which made me dive into more research in different things. And then I realized, oh, our lives are really really involved and focused in food. So food
Mm.
is something that will never disappear, I feel like. So then I wanted to dive into something, a major that has all the sciences like physics, biology, and chemistry. And looking at the food technology curriculum for Wageningen made me really interested to be able to learn different food tech disciplines and be able to impact the world through food instead of
Mm.
saving people's lives, for example. So I really love to cook at home, and I wanted to know more of how the world works, or how is one food ingredient going to different locations and becoming different products, for example. So it's more like I wanted to be involved in food. That's why I took food science, and hopefully
Ah.
also in the future I work in the food industry. Yeah.
But like, did you try to like or think of in other perspective would be like studying in dietitian because dietetics because like I think dietetics is more about like in hospital basis and also like
Mm.
helping people. But did you like think of you want to like study in that way?
Oh, okay. So I didn't think of dietetics and nutrition. I thought more on food science and technology. So dietetics will focus more on the specific components and the nutritional aspects, for example, and how
Mm.
those combined will form like a better diet for your patient, for example. So it makes sense to take that. But I also wanted to learn about how the food ingredients function in a product and how to be able to create new products into the industry. So my mind was shifting more towards learning food science and food technology rather than nutrition, for example. But I know nutrition is an important aspect that we also learn in food technology. So I love food tech because you really encompass different parts of the industry and you're able to learn kind of the big picture, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, you can like explore different aspect or different like areas of food industry and then you can choose whatever you want to do in the future as the job.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's great.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. And like because I know you are studying in Netherlands and I know like the school you are studying is really good. Should be the number one in the world rank for food science. So like can you share about like why you want to choose this school?
Actually, I applied to different schools and actually different science majors for every school, university. Um, but why did I choose Wageningen? It was because, well, I always wanted to study abroad, and it was also the most affordable in terms of education. And so, yeah, I have a twin sister, and that was a huge factor in my decision making, where both of us were going into university for our parents financing it. So that was one reason, but the main reason was that, yeah, I chose different majors in science, and food technology is the best major in Wageningen in the Netherlands. And so that was the main attraction for me, that you're able to study different parts of the science. So, for example, in Wageningen, they place that you would be studying 5 disciplines, which is like food physics, engineering, chemistry, microbiology, and quality and design. So, in my opinion, that was what really like attracted me to study in Wageningen because you get to learn so much, and the curriculum encompasses different parts within 3 years compacted. So that was what interested me the most.
I think you also include about like what are you studying in in your school already. So yeah,
Yeah.
but like is there any like funny things during your study, or like is there any like subject or module which is really difficult to learn, etc.?
Oh, okay. So a lot of different questions packed together. Well, the the first one would be well, I already mentioned my syllabus in general, but I think a
Mhm.
fun thing that most people don't know about my program, and it's also not on the website, is that in my third year, there is like a 1 week Switzerland exchange. And you
Mm.
get to go to different companies, visit different industries like chocolate or sugar or perfumes and flavors. So you get to have this really interesting experience after learning all the theory in your 2 years, for example, you get to see it applied in real life. So I think that's a very interesting part about food tech. Other than the 1 week Switzerland exchange, there was also um, there's also a student association called Nicholas Appert, and they also host different company excursions. So that's also such a great appeal of being in Wageningen because you get to have all these opportunities to learn how food technology is applied in real life. So
Mm.
I think that's the interesting part of my study. A funny fact is that my study probably it would be it starts out quite simple and then you get to the hard part really quickly. But the simple part would be the fun times in the lab where we would just be frying French fries. And then we're all here like, wow, we're frying fries, like it's something that you would do without food technology, but then we get to learn, all right, what's the difference between thawing your fries first or directly cooking it or directly deep frying it right out of the fridge. So then you get to learn the lipid content, and then there's way more aspects that you realize you don't take account for in your life. Just
Mm.
frying French fries, there's so much science behind it. So I think that's a fun part about learning food tech because you realize things that and you notice things that you don't or haven't noticed the past years in your life in the kitchen. So I think
Yeah.
that's the
It's like involving lots of science, like the chemical reaction, and also like
yeah.
yeah, different things behind all the process, but like you never know. But apart from like the experience you had in school, did you like having some placement experiences? Because I just heard like you got some like abroad experience or like doing some can I say field trips? But did you like going to one or two companies to have the internship experience?
So the interesting thing about a bachelor's in Wageningen is they actually don't include an internship into the curriculum. And
Mm.
what I did was that I really wanted to have an internship within my 3 years here. And so you kind of just include it there, but for less credits in a bachelor's. And I ended up in an internship 6 months for product development.
Mm.
Yeah. And there I learned more on the creation of beverages and multi-fruit juices, for example. Any type of beverage that you can think of in a supermarket, I've probably already made it in my internship. So we learn
Wow.
about like the recipe formulation in my internship, and also pilot plant productions, or even um, sensory evaluations as well. And I
Hmm.
think that's where I could apply different knowledge. It's just what I learned from my internship is that it's quite different than learning in university, where university is really packed with theory, diving into different mechanisms behind what is happening, while the industry is more like just do it. Does it taste good? Is it okay? Okay, then
Hmm.
go for it. Does it follow the regulations? Then you're all good to go to put forward a product. So it's
Mm.
in my brain, I think it's kind of more simple than it turned out to be. Um, but yeah, I think you would have another question.
I think it's more like practical, like putting those we have learned in university into
Mm,
the like the business practice. But like I think it's like totally different way because when I'm now doing my work, it's also like it's more like simple or like we just like need to follow the company standards, but not like much relying on those things we learned in school. But I think it's like totally different experience. Yeah, so
yeah,
yeah, just enjoy
definitely.
it. I think you just like cover is like product development or NPD, but did you find is this interesting or like the role you want to do or like it's a chance for you to know, oh, that's not a job for me. I want to like doing another work in the future.
So like going into food tech, I really did not know what I wanted to do in life. That's like something that I want to make clear. But after joining different like workshops and seminars and seeking advice from different people, I found that yeah, product development is something that I want to do. And in my internship, you learn more of the process of product development from zero to getting the product launched, for example. It's something we also learn in our courses. And I've decided, yeah, for my future career path, product developing is definitely something that I want to continue doing, or
Mm.
probably in the research and development team compared to doing, for example, quality
Mm-hmm.
or like we also learned about food process engineering, but that involves more of machinery and learning about the technology to create a pilot plant, for example, or make a product at the industrial scale. I think I
Mm.
prefer, yeah, being in the product developing and then collaborating more with different teams, for example. Yeah, so definitely on product developing, but I don't think I would try doing beverages again, for example. I think it's something that 6 months is quite a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to definitely venture into different products and learn more on how they get onto the market. And for example, my company was a mid-sized company. It's globally present, but the thing is, yeah, you learn about uh beverages only, and I want to learn more about different products, like probably dairy products like cheese or like different sauces or meat analogs, for example. Yeah, that's what I want to learn more on. So product developing, but in different fields. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. I just want to ask you like which aspect or which field you want to like pursue, but you already answered. So yeah, that's great. So it would be like the cheese, meat analog, and also like more about meat or like the alternative.
Um, yeah,
Is
like
it?
plant-based meats or
Yeah, yeah,
plant-based
yeah.
analogs, alternatives, because that's something very famous. It's a trend now in the Netherlands, and I think across
Mm.
Europe. Not
Yeah,
something
yeah.
you would see in Asia yet, I would feel. It's
Yeah,
not a
I think like
such a
it's the
booming
more
trend.
yeah, yeah. It's like more like it's a lab basis because you need to do the like the culture of the like the cells or of the meat
Mm.
and like doing the analog out. So I think it's like quite an experiment and like it's not like finished product yet. It's like still inventing or like you need to put more creativity inside.
There's still two sides that
Mm.
should we have it or not, but I know in Europe and especially the Netherlands, they find that the protein transition is really important for sustainability, and that's why they're creating more plant-based alternatives like plant-based creams, plant-based meat analogs, or like plant-based beverages as well. So
Mm.
it's really interesting, this transition, and you're trying to replace something that's been used for so many years and replacing it with something new. So there's still so much research to go into the protein transition, but it's something that's really interesting for me and
Mm.
industry that I would try to go into. Yeah.
Yeah. You are like really like ready into that field. Yeah, but like, did you like search for like the as a whole food industry, or you just like search for the food product, like the technologist role for the Lebanon market? Is it like really competitive or relaxing? Everyone can guess their work, their first job once they graduate.
Oh, oh, this is a really tough question, but Yeah, finding a job in the Netherlands is known to be really difficult, especially
Mm.
as an international Malaysian here. They really tend to employ Dutch people because they would have to give us a visa, for example. Um, and lately, from a lot of the companies and a lot of the LinkedIn job searches, there's
Mm.
not much junior positions open. So it's
Mm.
definitely a tough challenge. Some people take 3 months or even an entire year to search for a job and to be able to have that placement as an expat in the Netherlands. And especially
Mm.
in food tech, you asked about the range of jobs that I'm seeing. So I'm focused more into junior roles because I'm just graduating now from my bachelor's soon.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Netherlands, their job postings is really specific. So there's junior positions, there's the ones that is into quality, for example, or the ones that is into product development or even marketing as a food technology graduate. I also see other types of food, but these three are the main
Mm.
types that I see within the research and development team or the product development team. But I also know that you're graduating at the same time with so many people, like both bachelor's and master's students are
Mm.
against you, and it's very competitive because both programs are known to be very international, and a lot of people do want to stay here in the Netherlands. So
Mm.
it's a really high competition, but it's not impossible to find a job in the Netherlands as well. It will just take time and a lot of interviews. For example, there's 2 to 3 interview rounds, or even 4, from what I heard from my friends.
Mm.
And yeah, it's quite a tough process, but it's not impossible. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow. It's like kind of encouraging, but yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah,
it's the
but like,
harsh
did you
truth.
like apply for any jobs before, or you just like keep like just casually browsing or searching and looking at a job ad only?
Oh, so I think the job search is quite similar to an internship search, which is what I
Mm.
did last year. I did my research for internships mostly on LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
and for what I found, yeah, there's definitely way more internship positions than job positions available for graduates. So the tough part is really finding your strengths and what you want to do in the in the market with such limited options. And then what I tried doing is applying to different jobs while also tailoring my CV and trying to show my skills. And I found that it's really important that as a bachelor graduate or a master graduate, that they look at your thesis and your internship experience.
Mm.
So those two is something that I feel like the hiring managers or the teams that are hiring you as a food technologist, that is what they're really looking for. Yeah,
Mm.
your internship and your thesis topic, and then that will
Mm.
let you go far.
Okay. But like, did you have any like an interview experience before, like the with the hiring manager or like the HR? Is it like
Or
something process you have been through?
yeah, so I won't say the company because it's
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just knew the
still a
company.
work in progress. But I did go through 3 interview rounds in which this is for a junior product technologist position.
Mm-hmm.
And the first round would be that you talk to the global HR manager usually. So this is
Mm.
also an experience that my other friends trying to get employed has. So it's first a global HR manager trying to see if you would connect with the company and its values and how
Mm.
you are as a person. Um, how would you work in a team? And then the second one is usually a technical interview. So they invite you to come to the office, for example, and to directly talk with the team that you would be joining. So what or who I talked to was the future product development manager
Mm-hmm.
and also her higher up, so her boss. So
Ah.
yeah, so then you would really look into whether you connect with them. Like they're doing kind of a vibe check when you go into the office. How are you like?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, yeah, definitely an in-person interview gives them the context of who you are as a person, what are you looking for, and the different skills that you have to
Mm.
be in this role. and also
Mm.
a chance for you to get to know more about your role, because in the first interview you're talking with the HR manager, so they don't know the day-to-day tasks that the team does. So the second interview gives you more insights. It's your chance to show your skills, but also to ask more on the position, because a LinkedIn only gives you a LinkedIn job posting only gives you a limited amount of information.
Yeah.
So it's also where you give and gain,
Yeah,
information
yeah,
and
yeah.
insight.
It's like
Yeah.
kind of interactive, like interviews, like both sides can know more each other instead of
Mm.
you just like going and like letting them ask you question and just done and go. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And some companies, even during the second in-person interview, they give you a tour of the office as if you're already
Ah, yeah.
going to be part of it. So it gives you a lot of information in the second round. And then
Mm-hmm.
the third round is another one with I think it was the HR manager. So
Mm.
you have a different HR manager. This time it's the HR manager, not globally, but only on that side. So only in for example, the Wageningen R&D Center HR. So it gives you such a interview that they really ask who you are as a person this time again, and also how you work in a team and what motivates you, for example. So different
Mm.
questions to really know who you are and give you a lot of reflection, but it gives them context from all the aspects of who you are. Uh, yeah, so very, very intensive 3 rounds of interview, and then after
Mm.
that you get the offer or not. But that's my
Ah.
experience. Yeah. The most difficult is the one that tells you to really reflect on yourself. It's either this type of question where they ask you what motivates you in your
Mm.
life. And that's
Wow,
something that you
nice.
have to reflect on, truly reflect on. It's not something that you would think of, okay, I'm going into a product development role, and then you get asked this type of question. Or like what do you do in this type of situation if you have a disagreement, for example? How would you react to it and how would you solve the issue? Those type of
Mm.
questions is, I think, more difficult than, for example, the technical round interviews.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like difficult to answer because like there's no like fixed or like best answer. It's like just depends on how you deliver or like they will see what you think, like how do you think like the process.
A lot of people tell you is like, oh yeah, just make sure you know the company's mission, the values,
Mm.
your own strengths and weaknesses. They always ask that, you know, and then people just say, just be yourself.
Mm.
But even you think like, oh yeah, those are definitely going to be asked. There's these underlying questions that they will ask you further, and that's something that you also have to prepare for. So yeah, very
Wow.
interesting process.
Yeah, like exciting. But it's
Mhm.
quite a long journey, right? Like when you've been through different stage of interview, like it costs like more than 2 months or
Yeah, it is about 2 months, so
mm.
2 or 3 months even. It really
Yeah.
depends on the company, because some
Mm.
companies they like, usually startup companies get you employed really fast. Like they do all the interviews, and then within 1 month they tell you whether you get the position or not. So that
Mm.
was my experience with some of my friends. And then with the larger FMCGs, they take more time because they have more
Yeah.
applications, they do more
Yeah.
interview rounds to really know
Yeah.
if you're a fit for the company. So yeah,
Mm.
it's a long process. And if you include the applications on LinkedIn as well as looking for the job positions, that's even a longer process.
Wow. Do you have any like advice or encouragement to like cheer or support like the one who are also looking for the jobs or like studying in food science now, like your peers or like your juniors?
To my juniors that are possibly still high school students or currently doing food tech, I would
Mm.
say that it's okay to not have everything figured out. That is my first advice, because going into food tech, I did not even know if I wanted to do this course, and I didn't even
Mm.
know where I would end up in. So my advice for you would be that it's okay to not have everything figured out, but also try to find that answer. So it's not just stay confused, it's that I really advise to keep diving into things that interest you. If you find something interesting, note it down and seek opportunities and advice from the right people to figure out what you want to eventually do in life. So through those seeking opportunities, going to different events, doing coffee chats with different people, I think you will end up finding your right path. But yeah, just know that you don't always have to, you know, like really push yourself that okay, I need to figure out my life. I need to plan it out to the most like significant or tiny detail. Yeah, and that like I have to have everything figured out. No, like give yourself time and give yourself a lot of reflection, whether you want to continue doing this or seek other opportunities. So that's for me. And to those looking for a job, you got this. Believe in yourself and I think tailoring your CV is really important, but also remember not to lose yourself in the process and just be yourself in interviews and whether the company will like you or not that's not something you can control. What you can control is uh putting yourself out there and just doing it. I think that's such a good advice that someone told me as well. So just do it scared and apply to jobs and believe in yourself and you will be where you want to be in time. So go at your own pace and timeline. Yeah, that's from
Oh,
me.
so good. Yeah,
Yeah.
just do what you do. Do what
Mhm.
you can do.
Yeah, do what you can
Yeah.
do. If you can't do it, just ask for advice from different people. And I think the good culture in Europe is like you can just ask advice from people on LinkedIn
Yeah.
or ask for a coffee chat to the company next door, things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And they're really open. So I love
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. That's good. Hope you can get your dream job soon.
Oh yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, and that's the wrap. And thank you, Aileen, being my guest today. And yeah, see you guys next episode. Bye bye.
Bye.
Hi everyone, I'm Eileen, the guest speaker for the episode about studying food technology in the Netherlands, as well as Seesaw's marketing manager. So I wanted to take this chance to share about Seesaw. Seesaw is a Southeast Asian student association in Wageningen University dedicated to connecting and supporting Southeast Asian students, as well as sharing our rich cultures here with everyone in Wageningen. We celebrate diversity, community building, as well as create opportunities for students through personal growth in social events, educational support, and alumni talks. It's a place for everyone to learn, connect, and grow together. So if you're an incoming Southeast Asian student to Wageningen University, or you're an organization willing to collaborate, feel free to reach out to seesaw.netherlands on Instagram. Thank you!